we survivalists. We know how to survive, right? You could put us in a desert with nothing, and we gonna make it into a paradise somehow, right?
Put water into a well.
This is how we go. This is how we built. So we gonna make it work. But other people put us in situations and see what we do, and then they quickly go set up the businesses surrounding that thing that we create.
I agree. But that's why we have to be more conscious of how we spend, how about our money and the business that we create. We have to create businesses that are sustainable, that caters to our people.
And also having side hustles. Like, there's nothing wrong with having a job. Like, so, like, we don't want people to feel like, all right, entrepreneur. There's other side hustles people can do.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Graphic design, real estate, writing, content creators. There's a lot of side hustles people can do to generate wealth because, you know, income is not going to make it in certain cities anymore.
Right.
Inflation, it is what it is.
It's inflation, but
It's killing it.
Yeah.
It's absorbing all of the income.
Yeah, but it's just it's like different types of income. But we want to have like residual. We want to have like dividends. We want to talk about like investments. We want to talk about growing wealth. You know what I'm saying? So when we talking about like money, it's like, what are you doing with your money? If you spend $1,000 for a pair of jeans, you could spend $500 to open up a trading account. And at least trade some stock so you can have, you know, long-term wealth. You get what I'm trying to say? So it's just where you put your priorities. You got the money. If you're spending $1,000 on jeans and then $500 on a pair of sneakers, that's $1,500 right there.
But that's a great point. It's going back to education, right? So if young people are not realizing this early, then, you know, if you got $1,000 and somebody say, hey, you can make 2,000 over here, and you really don't know nothing about it, you're not going to invest that $1,000, even though that can be a sure thing because you wasn't educated and exposed early.
Right.
And that's the exposure early got to be, you know, done early. All these millionaires and multi-millionaires, they're not really coming back giving financial literacy classes, economic empowerment classes on how to invest the money. When you look at the average basketball player, once he leave the NBA, most be broke. Right? Because
their lifestyle is so expensive.
Not only lifestyle, they wasn't really taught about financial.
Right.
Like or investments. Like, it's very few. Like, you look at Allen Iverson, you know, he was swindling all his money due to certain personal issues, but a great friend put some money aside for him in investment where he turned 55. He get a certain $20 to $30 million. Like, you know what I'm saying, at 55. And that's, you know, having people around you that have that knowledge is very essential. You know what I'm saying? And it's going back to the exposure. We not really exposed to the stock market, information about stock market. You know, what is added income? What is royalties? Like, these things, it's not talked about. That's why a lot of the old rappers got robbed.
Right.
Because nobody knew about royalties.
I don't think they even understood contracts, right? It took to that effect. I had a stint in the music industry coming out when I was like 18, right? Went to the DMC competitions, met people, met all the rappers and all of this stuff. And you don't know, you in the middle of being fun and excitement. People don't tell you none of this stuff, right? They don't tell you about, oh, be careful with the contract you sign because it could cost you. They don't really tell you that. And I fell into one of those situations where I wound up signing a contract, and ultimately I didn't make no money, but it really put the brakes on my career, right? It just broke it. And because of the clauses in the contract, and it was a management contract, right? But nobody's talking to us about this finance and all this stuff. During the pandemic, I picked up all of Dr. Claude Anderson's books. So I've heard little things here and there, but during the pandemic, I picked it up. I said, wow, this guy's making a lot of sense. And the reason why I picked it up is because I was a subscriber. I am still a subscriber to Dr. Boyce Watkins. He has 3 PhDs in finance. So I'm listening to this guy talk, and he's like, this is how you make money. He's just saying it. This is how you do this. This is how you do it. Blah, blah, blah. Get out of debt. Debt is the cancer of the financial world. It's cancer to your money, debt. And I'm like, wow, I was in debt too, right? So I was like, oh, wow. So my money, I was making decent money. Like one year I sat up and I looked up how much money I made, and I'm like, damn, I made this much money. Where's it at?
Right.
I was confused because I had all this debt and I wasn't paying it all off. I was paying a little bit. And of course the debt grows. Compound interest,
Right.
period.
And interest.
Debt is growing. So I'm like, oh, wow. Then I became a person under Primerica. And the first thing is they give you these tools that you talk to everybody else about. I said, well, I'm going to use these tools on me. See if they work.
Right.
And they worked.
You can't save somebody as a drowning person with a drowning.
If you're drowning, right? So I would say my credit rating was probably like 640.
Which still ain't bad in the hood.
640 is bad for me, right?
In the hood,
At 640, I owed a lot of money. My credit rating now is like a 755 because I don't hardly own no credit card debt. I owed like $30,000 in credit card debt.
Mm.
And I thought it was good because I'm like, I got all these credit cards. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And they
You gotta pay when you buy.
That's the same thing they do. Like if you see like in universities, you see like a whole bunch of credit card companies setting up the tables, and they'll give you a credit card without explaining you about credit.
That's right.
They don't explain about financial literacy. This is one of the classes are not taught in school.
Right.
You can't unless you specialize. You say I want to do it in business. I gotta understand this math. I gotta understand this financial literacy. But financial literacy should be taught like in middle school. You know what I'm saying? And I mean it goes down to the basics. You know what I mean? We should have financially sound young people growing up. You know what I'm saying? But people are getting hip to the game. You know what I mean? Because it's not. Again, it's not it's not what you cop, it's what you keep. Now, if you like some of these ball players, they're making millions of dollars, but then they spend $1 million. They have a Bugatti in their drive yard. They have like a $1 million house. But once those checks stop coming in, how is that stuff going to be maintained?
What's the insurance on them?
What's the insurance? But how is it just maintained? Even with insurance, you got to pay insurance. So I mean, you got to maintain that kind of lifestyle, and those types of lifestyles are not sustainable because you're spending so much. That's only when you have stuff coming in. What happens when that stuff stops?
Right, you get injured, whatever, and you can't get the more money out your contract. Just can't cut you.
How is it maintained? And how can you sustain that wealth?